We got Cameron in Hayes, Kansas.
Hi, how are you?
How you doing?
Hi.
Good. I was just wanting to call in and talk about morality.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to ask you probably a good question before we would jump into that topic is when I define morality, I define it as this way: a real morality where there are real rights and real wrongs that we are really accountable to. So if this discussion would be meaningful whatsoever, I just have to ask, is that the type of morality you guys believe in?
I don't know.
I don't know what you mean by a real. What do you mean when you say? Give me an example of a real right and a real wrong that I think you said that you would be responsible to.
Really being really accountable to. So a practical example would be selfishly hating someone in your heart would be really wrong. And selflessly loving somebody would be really good.
Okay, first of all, and I hate to be literal anal boy, but my heart doesn't hate people. Now, I realize that you're metaphorically talking about the mind, but while I would say that hating someone is potentially unhealthy,
Right.
I don't see anything at all immoral about hating somebody. And as a matter of fact, I would say that there are probably some people who are deserving of hatred. But I wouldn't say that this is necessarily immoral.
Yeah, I don't know that I could call a thought that did not result in action immoral. It's simply a thought. I mean, you haven't done anything. Is he still on the line?
Oh, I think we lost him. I didn't go near the thing. I didn't hang up on him. See if we can get Cameron.
I mean,
back.
the lines are still loaded.
They're all. Oh, somebody in the studio accidentally hung up on Cameron. Cameron, see if you can get back in. I apologize, but we can talk about this kind of simply.
Yeah.
My view on morality is that it addresses actions, not thoughts. And while thoughts do lead to actions and belief informs your actions,
Sure.
So you could make the argument that you're going to act based on your beliefs. So there are some beliefs that lead to immoral actions.
But if I hate you, I may just avoid you, and I don't see that as immoral.
Yeah.
To avoid someone. I mean.
But when you say real rights and real wrongs, it makes it sound like almost that you're talking about some kind of absolute universal morality, and it'll surprise you that to some extent I actually agree with you. My absolute morality is more based on situational. That in any given situation, there's a number of different actions that could occur, and some of those actions are better than others, and some are worse than others. So for that specific set of circumstances, there must be either one action or one group of actions that are the best possible actions considering the goals of,
Yeah, that's the thing. You've got goals and values that are both outlined in there that are going to impact that decision.
Provided you can agree on the goals, you can agree on what would be roughly the pinnacle of rightness or the abyss of wrongness. But because that is different for each, it's similar in different scenarios. It's easy to say murder is wrong. Well, okay, what do you mean by murder?
Correct.
Is it just killing somebody? Is killing another person always wrong in every situation? No, well, it turns out, oh, hang on. You there, Cameron?
Hello?
Cameron?
Hi, I can barely hear you.
Okay, but you got
you're
back on?
Yeah, I'm back now.
Okay.
We tried to continue the explanation without you, so it's your turn.
Okay, I heard a little bit of what you said. Let me go ahead and jump in here. Yeah, with saying real rights and real wrongs, that is kind of shorthand for saying absolute morality. And then can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then going kind of along with what you're saying, I would agree that context has to be taken into account. So going back to my question, where we have a context where something is really wrong, you take into account the actions being carried out, the thought that might be carried out, the person's intention, all of that. Given that circumstance where something would be really wrong, on what basis would we have to say that it would really be wrong or really be right?
There's two bases that come to mind immediately for me. One would be my own personal judgment, and the other would be a societal judgment. So in other words, I may look at it and say, this is really wrong, but society may deem that what they did is okay, and therefore it's not enforced. What I think is wrong is not enforced and irrelevant to anyone but me. But
okay,
go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Okay, this is what I would say to that both of those things would be arbitrary standards for arbitrary reasons.
And that's why you have arbitrary rules that are different around the globe. That's why no two societies have the same standards of law and morality.
It's about increasing your understanding and determining which goals and values you want and which ones are better for yourself and for society. For example, I would say that one of the things that I would consider to be a moral absolute is that it is morally wrong everywhere at all times for one human being to own another human being as property. That this always was wrong even if societies didn't recognize it's wrong. And how can I say that? Because I am the ultimate judge of what I consider to be right and wrong. I am evaluating their moral standards according to my own and saying, no, I'm sorry, I realize you guys thought this was moral, but I say that this is absolutely immoral. Now, if there are other people that agree with me, great, then we can begin, creating
social change or whatever you want,
and begin to change the world around us.
Or go set up your own country where there's
and
not slavery.
Hopefully we're constantly getting better at this.
Right.
But I would say that owning another human being is wrong and always has been, even if they wasn't recognized.
Okay, but like I said, the logical conclusion to all this is that what is said to be right and wrong is not really right or wrong.
Correct.
It's just arbitrarily right or wrong for arbitrary reasons. Something could be wrong yesterday, then we could change our mind. Society could change our mind, or I could change my mind and be right today.
There's a difference between arbitrary and variant. Okay, you can have very good reasons for why you decide something is right or wrong. I don't know that it's arbitrary.
But people can have different reasons, so therefore it's
yes,
arbitrary.
that's correct. But when I think of arbitrary, I tend to think of what you were saying before, that, oh, you could just do this, you could just do that. And really, there is a certain biological function in your head that is a social animal that wants you to have a cohesive society. So there's going to be a biological drive in your head as a social animal that's going to make you want to create a system where...
Yeah, now you're pointing to something else, saying that there's some standards saying that my biological nature is what determines real morality, real right.
I'm saying I'm saying that it...
standard that you haven't provided.
No, I'm saying that it impacts your desire as a social animal.
Well, why should I listen to it just because it's my desire?
Because you can't survive as a single human being.
Okay, now you're begging the question. You're assuming I need to survive as opposed to not survive.
No, if you don't want to survive, it doesn't matter. I agree.
Well, some people don't want to.
That's fine. Then they don't need the social construct.
There's no morality still.
The standard is determined by the being and by the society.
Okay, we've already gone over that.
And what's the problem with it? I don't know what it is you want to get to. The fact that
The problem is that there's no real rights and no real wrongs that people are really accountable to.
I agree.
Arbitrary rights and arbitrary wrongs for arbitrary reasons.
I agree. There is no innate right and wrong absolutes that exist irrespective of a thinking viewpoint.
Correct.
I agree.
Correct.
Okay, so everybody in the world who tries to claim to be a moralist is really just using a word like blah blah. You go around saying, I'm a blah, blah, and we don't really know what that even means or why we should be blah, blah.
Curiously, you and I and Tracy can have a conversation about this, so clearly it's not equivalent to blah, blah.
According to my worldview, we're created in the image of God, and we have a moral compass.
How do you know that?
Within us.
That makes no sense.
Well, my worldview is more consistent than yours because that's the practicality.
How can that be consistent?
Okay,
how can that be consistent?
Because that's the practicality of the way the world works, and you're proving that that's the case because you're saying that it's innate within you to have your nature to want to survive.
But here is the problem. It's also innate in other social animals, but it's less innate in non-social animals. Why is it that when you breed something like a Siberian fox to become more social, it gains what we would label as more...
Okay, so why is it that animals can eat each other, but yet if I go eat children for the fun of it...
Now wait a second. We have an animal, a Siberian fox, that is a solo animal. This is a solo animal. It's not a social animal. You can breed this animal to be more passive, and in doing so, it actually breeds a more social variant of that animal. The social variant is more prone to social interaction with people and other animals.